What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again talking college football. And today we are breaking down Virginia ahead of the 2025 season. If you like this content, please consider subscribing, leaving a like. Even just a comment below helps a small channel like this a ton. So thank you if you have done any of that. For today's video, we'll briefly look back at last year before diving into this upcoming season and talking about transfers, additions, departures, everything to expect from Virginia. So without further ado, let's take a look at the efficiency metrics from last year. A little bit of an up and down season for Virginia and a lot of down. Offensively, the best unit for this team was actually their run game, kind of in tandem, that offensive line and running back unit. They finished around average in both. The only above average stat for Virginia offensively was actually their offensive line run blocking, pass blocking. They were 114th. So not exactly what you expect for a unit from Virginia, who's basically running a version of an air raid, a pass first offense. They were 37th in pass rate, but their best skill was running the ball. Just a weird run out for this team. Defensively, their best unit was their pass rush, where they finished 70th. They were outside the top 100 in all other major metrics. So when you look at their record overall and you see this team finishing outside a bowl again, 5-7, it's not the most surprising. Tony Elliott, this is year 4 for him. He's their head coach. He is 11-23 since he took over the job. There's not much to say. They need to improve under him. They have not made a bowl yet under Tony Elliott. Last year, their only wins came against Richmond, Coastal Carolina, Boston College by 10 points, Pittsburgh by 5 points. I mean, this is a very questionable unit overall. That's 5 wins. They did lose by single digits to Louisville, which I guess is a feather in their cap. But they got blown out by Maryland, Clemson, North Carolina, Notre Dame, SMU, Virginia Tech. So it's not only that they were losing games, but as you can see, some of the games they did lose were by double digits, and it wasn't pretty overall. And we also have Virginia standing pat on coordinators. What are we going to get out of the same old cast of crew we've been using so far? Des Kitchings is back. He took the job in 2020, originally coached RBs for the Falcons in 2021 before he took the Virginia OC job. This unit needs work. John Rodzinski is back at DC. He also took the job in 2022. Previously, he was working with Air Force coordinating their defense, which was good at the time. But this unit needs work. I mean, when you're winning 5 games and your best win is against Pitt late in the year, I think you should be either making some changes or looking to something. Not to mention that was the game where Eli Holstein got hurt in the game. So anyway, Virginia coaching staff remains the same. Let's take a look at talent acquisition for this team. It's a tough school to recruit to. Their academics are very good. Their calendar is tricky for kids to transfer into as well. So Virginia comes in between 13th and 15th in the ACC in each of the last 3 years. They have not had a class ranked higher than 58, which is this class, fortunately. Last year, they were 88th, and the year before, they were 65th. When you have these academic schools like Virginia, this is kind of just what you're going to get. I will say their transfer class has improved a lot. This year, they are 23rd. Last year, they were 54th. The year before, they were 50th. And with the academics at Virginia being very good, the retention here is solid. We are seeing above 60%. They actually have 100% for the last 2 classes. I don't think I've seen this so far doing these P4 previews, another team that has a 100% retention. So what is it going to come down to? Can they develop the kids on this roster? And that remains to be seen. They have not been successful yet. So now let's take a look at this year's roster. I will get right to it. I like this roster a lot. I think we have a significantly improved Virginia team. That starts at QB. Transfers on this sheet are in yellow. We have the year they are in school to the right, how many snaps they played the last 2 years, what recruit they were in terms of a star, and then a value score. What that value score is, it takes a look at your recruitment first and foremost. Then the more snaps you've played, the less it looks at recruiting, the more it looks at that on-field talent. And the goal is to give you an overall score, with 50 being an average player, anything above that obviously being better, with some of your elite players in the 80s on Virginia, you can immediately see one of their better players is that quarterback transfer, Chandler Morris, who comes over from North Texas. But Chandler Morris is well-traveled at this point. He originally began his career in the Power 5 at the time with TCU, then moved to Oklahoma. Flip those two. Started with Oklahoma, then moved to TCU. Finally, he stopped at North Texas last year, completed 63% of his passes, 3,774 yards. That was 7.4 yards per attempt. 31 scores, 12 picks, 27 big-time throws, 23 turnover-worthy plays. But we're dealing with a mobile quarterback as well. Average 4 yards per carry on the ground, 242 yards. He's a bit smaller at 6 feet, 192, but only took 15 sacks in a pass-first offense that ended up being 11.5% pressure-to-sack ratio, which is very good. Time to throw, quick as well, 2.44. He was the 38th most efficient QB in college football last year. This is an upgrade almost without a doubt over what you saw from Musket and Colandrea the last few years. They also add a 3-star sophomore transfer in Daniel Kylan from Nebraska, who's going to be a backup at this point. Didn't play last year, so he's now entering his redshirt freshman season. Or I guess, technically it's a redshirt freshman. Some teams call it sophomore and don't update their depth chart, so it is what it is. Regardless, it should be better overall as a quarterback position. Before I move forward, I forgot to say, if you want access to this chart, among many other things, team previews written out, rankings for fantasy, they're available in the Discord that is below. There is a link. At running back, so we mentioned the run game was very good for this team comparatively, at least the run blocking unit. Run game itself, isolating the running back position, was still a little below average. Kobe Pace was the lead rusher, but he is gone. So now you move to Xavier Brown, presumably, who played 229 snaps. He is 5'10", 198. He rushed for 488 yards. That was 6.1 yards per carry. He averaged 4.32 yards per carry after contact, which is an incredible number. Small sample. Yes, he needs to extrapolate this, but man, we don't see a lot of backs, especially at Virginia, averaging over 4 yards per carry after contact. They do go out and add some compliments to him. Jamaric Taylor from NC Central, Harrison Whaley from Wyoming both come in. Taylor's 5'9", 204. He was very efficient. It was in the FCS. The main concern with him is he played down there for 4 years, and it took him till his 4th year to actually carve out a main lead back role. Generally, these aren't great bets. I'm not expecting Taylor to play a big role. Whaley, however, has played a lot. The real hindrance to Whaley's career has been injury. He's 5'10", 212. Last year, he only played in 4 games, probably to preserve some redshirt there. But he was with Northern Illinois for 3 years, then Wyoming for 2. He has over 3,000 rushing yards in his career. At 5.3 yards per carry, he has 40 catches. Yards after contact per attempt is at 3.32. It's pretty far behind Brown, and it was at the G5. So maybe you see Whaley play a complementary role, but I'm not sure about this. Otherwise, Noah Vaughn's still on the team. He's 5'9", 199. He played a little bit last year, far less efficient than Xavier Brown. At the very worst, I think this running back unit is probably just stagnant, and it has a chance to be better with some of these transfers coming from lower levels if they can produce and step up. Wide receiver, lose Malachi Fields to Notre Dame, lose Chris Tyree. Their leading returner is a former Kent State transfer, Trell Harris. Played in 4 games last year due to injury, caught 15 passes, 221 yards, out wide 93% of the time with 1.81 yards per route. These are pretty good numbers. Small sample because of the 4 games, but Trell Harris should be a starter for this team. I don't know about the other incumbents. They do return 4-star North Carolina transfer Andre Green. He was with Virginia last year and only caught 9 passes. Plays in the perimeter, pure wind sprinter. 74 yards in the year, and he actually played a fair amount of snaps. He's probably going to get beat out, which is a good thing. Notre Dame transfer Jaden Thomas comes in. Purdue transfer Jamal Edrin, Cam Ross from James Madison. These guys should get a look over Andre Green, starting with Jaden Thomas. He is a big X-type receiver, 6'2", 220, former 4-star, 64 catches for 831 yards with the Irish. Now, that was over 3 years. So when you look at his stats, he played out wide 56% of the time. That did trend more towards the boundary as he got older. 1.46 yards per route with Notre Dame is about average. Edrin's a tricky case because he originally plays at FAU. He's 6'3", 221. But then in 2023, he transfers to Purdue. He gets hurt, misses the entire year. Returns last year, plays in that just horrifying Purdue offense. 23 catches, 365 yards, 1.34 yards per route, played on the perimeter. But man, how much of that is him? How much of that was just Purdue being inept? It's hard to say. Finally, Cam Ross is 5'10", 185. He got 36 balls for 436 yards with James Madison. Played out wide 62% of the time, but his efficiency was bad even in the Sun Belt, 1.16 yards per route. He played with UConn before James Madison, and he had his best year in 2019. So it's been quite a while since we've seen Ross play a lot and play well. I think the best configuration of this offense is using Trell Harris maybe in the slot, then using Jaden Thomas and some combination of Jamal Adrian and someone else. The rest of the group's pretty uninspiring. Cameron Courtney, 170 snaps last year. He was only a freshman, so maybe he improves. Cedarian Harrison played 135. Tylyrick Coleman played 52. I think this unit might be a little worse, but honestly, it could be better. Last year's unit was Malachi Fields and only Malachi Fields. This year, we have more names. I don't think any of them are quite as good as Malachi Fields. So while it might be the same overall, it functions a little differently. Tight end. They lost Sackett Wood. They lost Tyler Neville. They did have a lot of weird things happen at tight end last year. So even though they lose two guys that played a lot, the cover's not bare. First off, Sage Enos is back. He's a former Clemson transfer, got hurt last year. He's 6'4", 245. Not a good pass catcher, only 7 career passes, but he is an awesome blocker. So that's one thing he can do on the field immediately. That will get him playing time. They also return a former 4-star in Dakota Twitty, who played 169 snaps last year. He's had a lot of trouble getting on the field, but he should be a better pass catcher. He has 10 catches. They also, I guess, have Hayden Rolison back. He's a former walk-on, so not really expecting him to stay on the depth chart in his current role. Tight end's not deep, but Enos and Twitty at the top actually are more, I guess, higher recruits than a lot of teams can say they have in this conference. Offensive line, they lose 3 full-time starters, including their best player, Brian Stevens. They do return their left tackle, who is Mikhail Boley. He's now started the better part of 2 years. Last year, he got off 8 starts. He's a very good run blocker. Pass game, his work trailed a little bit, 17 pressures allowed, 6 sacks. But he's definitely an above-average starter at left tackle if he can improve some of those pass game metrics. Unfortunately, they lost Monroe Mills from Louisville. He was a transfer coming in expected to play right away. He had a season-ending injury in the spring. So that kind of leaves the door open for another tackle. Monroe Mills was, on paper, their best starter, so this is a big loss. But they do have some other players I think that could step in and start, and the depth here is surprising. Mykylan Thomas comes in from Arkansas State. He started 3 years there. 15 pressures allowed, 3 sacks last year, good run blocker. Now, it was Sun Belt production, so can he move it to the ACC? David Wollabaugh comes in from Syracuse. Originally began his career with Kentucky before he went to Syracuse. He's kind of been a rotational guy, but he's had situational starts. Last year, he had 3, 6 pressures allowed, pretty good in the pass game, good run blocker. He was above average, clearly. He's played both sides as well, left and right. They also had Tayshawn Wyatt. He comes in from James Madison, missed all of last year with an injury, but he's another 3-year starter. Not quite as impressive as Wollabaugh, but that's a lot of experience. So at the very least, you have 3 experienced tackles, one of them proven at this level, 2 of them that need to take a step from lower level of competition up. At left guard, they returned a 2-year starter in Noah Jossi. He's a good player. Vastly improved as a pass blocker. Last year, only 2 sacks allowed, 14 pressures. Run game is about average to above average, so he's a quality starter. Right guard is probably going to be a transfer, Wallace Unamba from New Mexico or Kevin Wigginton from Illinois. I think both of them are solid. And Unamba's played right tackle before too, so he has some flexibility. Last year, he allowed 9 pressures, no sacks. It was with New Mexico, so he needs to take a step up, but he was also good in the run game. Wigginton originally played with Michigan State before he went to Illinois last year. Didn't play with Illinois' offensive line. Kind of a curious transfer destination with how strong that unit was before he got there. So I don't know why he wasn't going to get playing time right away. And then he leaves. So, I mean, kind of weird. Anyway, he did start with Michigan State. 501 snaps, 8 pressures allowed, no sacks, no QB hits. Wigginton's another good option. And then at center, they add Brady Wilson from UAB. He started the better part of 3 years down there. And he was elite in the G5. 16 pressures, 1 sack over 3 years. That's 2,300 snaps. Good run blocker. They also have Drake Metcalf, the former Stanford and UCF transfer, who's been hurt. I mean, this offensive line has a chance to be significantly improved, even with the departures. And that was the best unit on their team. They were above average in run blocking. It was the only place they were above average last year. I think this offensive line is actually pretty good. Moving to defense, their best unit was the edge. They lose both of their starters there. This is going to be tough. Cam Butler and Chico Bennett Jr. are gone. They were two of the better players on the defense and the team. But they immediately go to the portal, bring in four guys: Daniel Reichert from Tennessee Tech, Mitchell Melton from Ohio State, Fisher Kamak from UNLV, and Kazim Moore from Elon. Reichert, he's FCS, 232 pounds, but he had 70 pressures and 20 sacks over the last 2 years. If you're going to take an FCS transfer, they better be productive. He is that. Melton's from Ohio State. It's kind of the opposite. When you take an Ohio State guy, probably an elite recruit, probably hasn't played much, that's exactly what Melton is. He's a former four-star. He's big. He's 255, so we'll see what he can do. And then you bring in Moore from Elon. He didn't break out till last year, 39 pressures and 6 sacks, but he spent 3 years there. So sometimes your late breakouts don't profile quite as nice as your guys like even Riker, who is much better immediately. And then finally, Kamak from UNLV played 572 snaps last year. Pretty strong on those 36 pressures, 9 sacks, good run defense numbers. I actually like the blend of this edge group. And they also bring back Terrell Jones, who played 282 snaps. Not the best player, but I mean, for losing your 2 starters, this is actually a pretty decent unit. If they take a step back, I don't think it's going to be far. I'm still thinking this edge group is pretty good. Inside, they returned Jameer Carter and Anthony Britton. And part of the reason their pass rush was so good is Carter, he got off 17 QB pressures at 311 pounds on the interior. He's played 2,244 snaps with Virginia. I mean, if you're going to have a pocket-pushing defensive tackle, that's also going to help your edge group. So his addition to this team, I guess, or retention, you could call it, is important. Britton, however, he wasn't quite as good. He played 446 snaps, struggled in the run game. He needs to improve. There's just no way around it. They did add some players that maybe take his spot. Jacob Holmes from Fresno State, Hunter Osborne from Alabama. Holmes mainly played in rotation with Fresno State, but he does have good numbers overall. 27 pressures, 4 sacks out there. Osborne, another former 4-star, only 19 snaps to his name, but Virginia just doesn't have a lot of these guys. So there's a chance he immediately beats out Britton right away. And they also get back Jason Hammond. He started the first 4 games before he got hurt and missed the rest of the year. 295, played pretty well before he got hurt too. So the unit inside should be better, which will help with your run defense. Pass rush, I'm already pretty confident in. Last year, Virginia was very hurt, so this team should be better up front just by necessity. Linebacker. They return their top 3. That's not saying a lot. I'll start with transfer Maddox Marcellus, who comes in from Eastern Kentucky. He might get a look right away. Started, played 704 snaps in the FCS, good run defender. Coverage was pretty good too, but I say he might start just because you didn't get a lot out of your incumbents. Cam Robinson's now a junior, played 503 snaps. He was second on the team with 64 tackles, did have 5 sacks somehow, but he struggled in coverage, 81% completion percentage into his coverage. The same thing can kind of be said for James Jackson, who's basically been a starter for 3 years with Virginia. Man, he's basically been a below average player till last year. He made 45 tackles, decent in coverage. And then finally, Trey McDonald, 490 snaps in his first year starting last year. He allowed an 80% completion percentage, 58 tackles. I mean, this just was a lackluster group. They all played a lot, so hopefully just one more year in the system, they'll improve naturally with experience. But man, it's not the most inspiring linebacker unit. I think experience will help them, however. In the secondary, they lose Jonas Sanker, Kempton Shine, Corey Thomas Jr. They do return a boundary cornerback in James Jackson, formerly of Robert Morris. He played 760 snaps last year. He was actually good in the run game. His coverage numbers were up and down, 63% completion for 693 yards and 3 scores. A couple big plays there. You can't have those. But they had a lot of transfers to compete with him, maybe play opposite him. Keenan Johnson from Utah, Jordan Robinson from Cincinnati, Emmanuel Carnley from Arizona, Donovan Platt from Army, and Jason Prevert from Morgan State. Keenan Johnson got hurt immediately last year with Utah, but he previously was with Georgia Tech in 23. 57% completion, 272 yards, 1 score, 1 pick, 2 PBUs was solid. He's got the best chance to play on the boundary, in my opinion. Robinson, a little bit more tenuous. He was originally a 0-star recruit with Kentucky before he went over and tried his luck with Cincinnati. He's played well in limited snaps, but he's never started a game. Emmanuel Carnley from Arizona played 369 snaps and started 6 games. Really bad run defense numbers, but a 51% completion for 288 yards, 4 scores, and 5 picks. He has a chance to play. The rest of the group, I think, is probably depth. Platt comes in from Army. It's very low level of competition. He allowed a 48% completion, which is solid, but he also missed 9 tackles. That was 32% of his attempts. And Prevert comes in from Morgan State. He's a 2-year starter, but he took a big step back last year. I don't think either of them start. I think they're depth pieces. And I'm not sure that any of the transfers carve out a role. Dre Walker has started games for this team in the past. He's been above a lot of the transfers in just what he's put on the field. So I think he has a chance to play, even though he didn't play a ton last year, only 66 snaps. But that's the boundary corner. Very unsettled. Should be better just because you have more options that are of ACC quality. Last year, you just didn't have these guys, probably or partially because of injury. In the slot, they bring in Jamarick Morris from Georgia State. He started 2 games last year. He's originally a JUCO guy. They also returned Caleb Hardy. I don't think either of them are guaranteed the slot spot. They just have more experience than anyone else. They may move a safety in here. They may convert one of those corners. They added about 8 transfers there, so that's possible as well. At safety, they do get back Antonio Clary. He was hurt last year after only getting off 195 snaps, but he started a lot already in his career. He's been a very good run defender. His coverage has gotten better too. Last time we saw him, 56% completion for 162 scoreless yards, 1 pick, and 3 PBUs. He was bad originally in his career, but he's a player that has grown as he's played more. From there, your second safety is probably a transfer. They had DeMarcus Crosby from New Mexico State and Christian Charles from Tennessee. Crosby originally played with Sam Houston State in 23. He goes to New Mexico State last year, and he actually took a slight step back, but he still was second on the team with 81 tackles, 67% completion percentage for 255 yards, 1 interception, 2 PBUs. Charles comes over from Tennessee. He's a 3-star, but he has played 709 snaps, and he actually played average. Last year, he took a little bit of a step back. So what do we get out of him? Is it actually the average play? I'm not sure. That wasn't the SEC. If he can't cut it, if Crosby can't cut it, Devin Neal is back, formerly of Baylor, formerly of Louisville. He originally played and started with Louisville in 2023. He was second on the team in tackles that year. Now, he hit the bench last year, which is a concern, but I mean, his numbers were actually pretty good. 61% completion in his coverage. I actually think Neal has a pretty good chance to start. I would not be surprised if he beats out Crosby. That kind of remains to be seen. I think both of them could play a decent amount this year, and maybe you kick one in the slot. At kicker, they returned Will Bettridge. He's a veteran. He's not missed an extra point in 2 seasons. He is 18 of 21 on field goals, 7 of 11 on 40 plus, and he's never made one beyond 50. So while he's pretty accurate, his range is limited. He finished as the 61st most efficient kicker last year. Virginia did have good special teams. They were 45th in the country. He's definitely part of it. So that is the roster. As we mentioned, I'm optimistic with this roster. I think they are much better than last year. But as usual, this is going to come down to schedule as it always does. So what do we get out of Virginia this year? Let's take a look. Bring you to, I'm not going to mess this up this time. There we go. The schedule. So they've got a weird non-con. First of all, that NC State game counts as a non-conference game, even though it is in conference. Just some weird scheduling, realignment stuff still going on after all these teams change places. So NC State's a non-con game. It is what it is. Otherwise, the rest of the non-con's reasonable. Coastal Carolina, William and Mary, Washington State. I think they're going to be favored in all 3. So I think at worst, you're 3-1 in non-con. Washington State is basically South Dakota State. They took their coach. They took their roster. The former Washington State head coach is at Wake Forest, a common opponent on the schedule. But man, good non-con. And then who are they playing at the top of the ACC? If you notice, no Clemson, no Miami, no SMU, no Georgia Tech. Yes, they get Louisville. It's on the road. They're going to be an underdog. But you dodge all of the big dogs. Who are the most difficult teams on the schedule? NC State, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. Yeah, you're probably an underdog in most of those games, but it's not going to be by a lot. They're probably going to pick off one of those teams, 2 of those teams maybe, and there's questions with every one of them. From there, you've got Stanford, Cal, Wake Forest, Duke, all teams towards the bottom. I think Virginia's going bowling this year. I think they could win 7 games. I'm actually pretty optimistic in this team. This is a team I am strongly considering betting their win total. Obviously, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But man, this roster to me is improved. I'm not buying the coaching staff just yet, but they have invested in the program to get to a point where they should make a bowl. And this schedule sets up for it. I think this might be the easiest schedule in the conference. But that'll do it for us today. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to see a team, please let me know. Otherwise, until next time, we will see you later. Good luck.